Right, okay, that should work. So what I'm doing on this video for anyone that joins in later on is that I've got this guitar in here. This is an old Aria STG 003, so it's not one of the 57s or 62s. It's just the basic one. So this guitar is a £60 guitar, and I did try streaming the whole thing, but I've polished all the frets, cleaned and hydrated the fingerboard, got the nut right and all that sort of stuff. And in the next video, I'm going to compare this, which is going to be playing as best as I can make it, to this guitar. So this is a US Strat, so it's about sort of 18-20 times more expensive than this Aria. And I was having a discussion with a friend yesterday about, is it really worth the difference? And what I'm going to do when I compare these two is really make the Aria sound as good as I possibly can, do the same for this and go back and forth between them. But of course I wanted to get the Aria playing as good as I possibly could first of all. So that's what I'm doing, or what I have done. And I'm going to do another guitar on the bench now, and I'm just going to leave the camera roll for anyone that comes in. Any questions, or if you want to check something out that's in the shop right now, let me know. So string wise on this guitar, I'm just going to go with a regular set of 10s. I use these Dean Markley strings quite a lot because, in fairness, they are really good strings. They're only a little bit cheaper than Ernie Ball, but really decent strings nonetheless. The only thing that I don't like is the packaging, because there's no distinct difference between the strings. You just kind of got to know, which sometimes I have put a B on an E before, or vice versa. And I did, like I said, I tried to go live earlier on, but I wasn't sure if it was working properly because I've never gone live from just the phone before. So if you are watching, drop a comment and I can see whereabouts on the screen they're actually going to show up. So everyone will tell you a load of different ways to restring a guitar. The way I've done it, and I must have done over 1,000 of these by now, is I just run the string through the post hole in this case, because it's just a normal post hole one. So bring it through, make sure he's all the way through on the block. And then I come up, sort of leave, not quite as much as that, probably about that much room on the string. Come up to the post, and then I just leave enough to go round the top of the post once. The lowy is always the trickiest. So round the top and over the where it's gone through. Put it up, and then the rest of the wraps underneath. And that's it. So you got one over the top, and then however many underneath. With the B and E, I probably put 2 over the top, and then you'll see it as I go anyway. But like I said, this is the way I've done it for a long time, and I've never had issues with strings doing it that way at all. So yeah, just carry on with the rest now, making sure we use the right strings, obviously. Gummo, how's it going, mate? You alright? I'm glad you commented because it's the first time I've streamed from a phone and I wasn't sure what was going on. Basically, what I'm doing is I've got this Aria guitar here. I've given it a full fret level polish, hydrated the board and everything. It's a £60 guitar. That's all it's going to cost. So it's had more than that in work, really, but I always make sure they're done right regardless. And I'm going to compare this to one of the American Strats I've got in at the moment on the next video, just off the basis of a conversation me and my mate was having the other day, where he just cannot understand why people would pay, you know, that sort of money compared to, say, 50, 60 quid like this one. So like I said, one round the top, hopefully you can see that there. Bend that one up so it comes over, and then the rest underneath. And that's it. I've never ever had an issue with strings restringing that way. It's nice and easy. You see some people who do it a bit more of a complicated knot system, but I've never found it necessary at all. Because you're not getting too many wraps on the post. It's locked and it just works. It's a shame the stream didn't work earlier on because this guitar was in a real state. It was not looking good at all. If anyone follows my Facebook page, I have put a before and after picture of the frets and fretboard on there, so you can see the difference. Hydrating the fretboard is always satisfying. It definitely is. So the comments actually disappear pretty quick. So if I miss any, I do apologise. It's not, this live streaming from a phone thing is it's actually not the best compared to a computer. But yeah, definitely, especially if you're using, you know, I mean, I use I have said before, where's it gone? So I've lost it. There we go. I use this stuff from Crimson Guitars. Because it lasts for so long. If you use lemon oil, which a lot of people do, this sort of stuff, it's great and it does clean it well, but I find after literally a couple of days, you can't really tell you've done it. And then, you know, where's the fun in that kind of thing? So with the G rather, over the top. With the G, it's still okay to do just one over the top, but with the B and E, I do two, just to make sure it is locked in. These two, you got to be careful of with these strings because they're not marked. You've just got to feel them. But it's all good. It's not too difficult to tell the difference. On this stream, I may have people come in sort of in and out, so I might disappear for a bit, but it's all good. So yeah, with this one, I would do around the top of the post twice, and then come back underneath. That's more winds than is necessary, to be fair, on that one. But it'll be fine. Get a nice tidy wrapper on the post. So yeah, this is the first time this guitar has had any work or any cleaning or any strings for many, many years. So it will be playing now better than potentially it ever has. Two wraps. And now I'll just get it into rough tune so I can check the neck relief and all that sort of stuff. Jumping around a lot, this tuner is just an old one. Come on, register. So tension-wise, that's roughly there, which makes me able to check the relief and stuff, which was pretty good, to be fair. A little bit more relief than it needs, so that'll have to be straightened out a bit. Not much, but just to get it right. Then obviously we'll have action and intonation as well. So what we got in here is just a normal. So it's probably a 5 or a 4.5 or something, we'll see. Nope, a bit smaller. Yeah, it fits nice. Where is it? There we go. Let's try that. If I can get this back out. It's always the trouble when you do it with the strings on. There we go. Just the tiniest turn, you can tell straight away whether it's needs a tiny bit more. I would say just a touch more on that. Nice if I could get it right. Still could do with a touch more. Gotta find where it locks in. No, it's not happy. Maybe it's better. Yeah, that's better. See where we're at with the intonation. Quite far out, so we're going to need to do a lot of intonation work. You can hear it. So that's miles out. The action's really high as well. So let's get the action sorted and then we'll see where we are intonation wise. I wish it would let the comments stay up all the time in case I miss any. So yeah, with the action we are really high, to be fair. There's no need for it to be that high at all. Let's try half a tone on each one and go from there. That's more like it. Still a touch high. Definitely come down a bit more than that. But we'll get back up to tension. Where's my tune rig on? Over here. So just bringing that action down, I would suspect the intonation is a touch closer than it was before. Yeah. Still need to fine tweaking, but that's much closer than it was. Come down a touch more. Yeah, relief-wise, we're somewhere near now. I would probably say that's fine. Bear in mind, this is a £60 guitar. That's all this is. It's just a cheap guitar, but it's still getting a good setup to make sure that it is, you know, absolutely right. I'm going to lower the pickup heights on this as well, because they're pretty much touching the strings at this point. Really, really high pickup height. So let's come down a touch more on the action. And sometimes, you know, you will get lucky. You'll adjust the action to the right height, and the intonation will just, you know, slot itself into pretty much where you want it to be. But you do have to be careful with intonation, because you can end up sort of chasing tails. It's never going to be perfect. It's much better to get it sounding right with your ear, play some songs on it to make sure the chords and that at the neck are right. And to be fair, at that point, intonation wise, it's good enough, you know. Because if you try and get it absolutely ringing out perfect, you'll be there forever trying to get it right. Best to just play it and use your ears rather than rely on what the tuner or whatever is telling you. So that's much better. It's not a super low action, but it's not too bad either. Like I say, this is a, you know, for a cheap guitar. And what I am going to do on this as well, there is a little bit of float on the trem just there that you might be able to see on the camera. And I only just noticed that, so I am going to wind that in so it's essentially hardtailed. Because on a £60 guitar, you wouldn't expect the tremolo to be utterly amazing sort of thing. So we'll do that now. It'd be fine to do while it's under tension. I've got no issues with doing that. I can check it all over afterwards. If I'm missing any comments, I do apologise. It's just, it looks like they only show up on the screen for a little while, and because all I'm doing is just live streaming, you know, a bit of workbench time, just to see if anyone had questions or wanted to see any of the guitars that are in stock at the minute. You can let me know, and I'll show you them up close. But the comments only stay there for a second, and I'm sort of concentrating on this rather than the stream. The stream's just there. So again, you know, like I said, very, very cheap guitar. You can see that tremolo system there is a little tiny thin bit of pot metal. So that will come into the comparison with the US Strat, no doubt. Although I won't be using the trem on that comparison because, you know, you just know that's not going to be great. So we'll lock it down to make it less of an issue. A little bit more. If anyone was wondering, by the way, about locking tremolos down, that is all you have to do, is just wind that claw right in and it will sit now firmly on the body and won't go anywhere else. I'll put this back on. I'd normally leave them off, but I'll put it on just to keep it together. like I said, if you do want to see any guitars that I've got in on the wall, just drop a comment and I'll show you them up close. Put the plastics back on. Right, so we've still got the pickup heights to do, a little bit more action tweaking and intonation tweaking. But this guitar now looks, I mean, this thing was an absolute ruin, 2 hours ago. And now for 60 quid, it's going to be a decent guitar for someone. It's not in bad condition, really. It's probably about 10 years old. Just an entry-level guitar that someone's chucked in a cupboard for years and years and years. But now it lives again, frets polished, fingerboard hydrated. It will all be set properly. And, condition-wise, it's not too bad. And this metallic sparkle, I don't know if it's coming across. But anyway, pickup heights now I'm going to change because I just know they're going to be honky as all hell. They're touching the strings, basically, which is not how you want your pickups to be. Even on ceramic cheap pickups like this one, I wouldn't want that close to the strings. Obviously, when I'm plugging it in, I will tweak this and find its sort of sweet spot, if you like. If there's a sweet spot with it, but I'm sure there is. And just visually, that makes me feel better about where they are straight away. Right. Obviously, we're sharp now because we've pulled the strings by winding the claw in. Would help if you plugged it in, wouldn't it? Are we still flat on the trem? Yeah, lovely and locked down. See where we are with the intonation now. Bit sharp on that one. Not too bad there. So Brad's there to sort out as well. B, that's the one that's the worst. That's better. So that's sounding much better. So action-wise, it could come down a touch more, but I'll probably tweak that further later on. Let it have time to settle in and stuff like that. But that's rescued this guitar from an unplayable mess, really. I'll put this one down. I probably will just leave this going because I'm doing, work on the bench regardlessly, so I'll just leave it going and take it down after the stream is finished. Where was the next one? Where did I put it? That's the question. So the next one that needs to come on the bench is this guitar. So this is a 2015 Mexico Standard, before the Player Series, but frets and stuff like that, they're just quite dulled down and the strings are dead. So this one just needs a decent fret polish, good old clean all round. And yeah, because I like I said, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but those frets you can see they're dirty, dull, a little bit scratchy, so we'll get rid of all that just to make sure this one's all good. And this is what I do. I mean, I've got over 40 guitars here at the minute, and all of them have either had or are having this process done. So thought I'd just chuck on the stream because I'm here anyway, regardless. Hey Paul, things are really coming along nicely. Narrowboat. Oh, how you doing, mate? I haven't seen you on the channel for a bit. So what we like relief wise here. Yeah, no problem with relief wise. This will be quite a simple job on this one. Condition wise it's perfect, just hasn't been played for a long time. If the camera angle's no good, by the way, let me know and I'll try and find somewhere else to put it. This will probably be the last one I do today because I've been here for a couple of hours now doing quite a few. These, by the way, best 15 quid you'll ever spend. Saves you a bunch of time, and restringing's easier as well with it. Yeah, these strings are absolutely hanging. I would never sell a guitar with strings like that on it, ever. Someone's done a funky knot on here as well. Not necessary to put knots around your string posts. Neither is it necessary to put 100 winds on it either. Although these aren't too bad wind wise. There we go. Chuck these away. What's the chances one of these gets stuck? They always do. Oh, not today. They're all free. And I have checked over this guitar beforehand fret-wise. The wear itself is absolutely fine. You know, these are going to polish up absolutely lovely. You know, we got no uneven frets anywhere at all. They are level and nice. This is going to be a nice playing guitar for sure. Ooh, there you go. Wouldn't expect anywhere this low down really, but good to check. Right, that's going to come out perfect. So what I'm going to do with this guitar, you could get away with just masking off one fret at a time, but because I'm going to machine polish this as well as a final polish, I will mask off the whole guitar. Well, the whole board, I mean. And obviously this one's a maple neck, so there'll be no hydrating the fingerboard and stuff this time. Just a good clean. This masking tape's not as sticky as I'd like it to be. There's my pen knife. There it is. You could go in at a 45-degree angle and you won't do any damage to the board, right along the edge of the fret. Nice and gently, just enough to cut the tape. And then I'll come back to that aria later on. Then you can use these bits on the other frets. So you don't actually use a lot of masking tape even if you're doing the whole fretboard at once. Yeah. Let's switch rolls. That one's not very sticky. Always find with maple as well, the tape doesn't want to stick as well. I'm sure there is some more expensive, better tape around. Tiny whisper of tape. Yeah, it does not want to stick to this maple board at all. If anyone is watching now, I can't see the count on the screen if there's people watching, so just drop in a comment and that's the way I'll be able to see it, although they don't stay on the screen for long. And then what I like to do with these bits is pop it down in the neck pocket, so that when you get near that area, which is a bit tricky, you'll just be able to lift that bottom one off and then they'll all come off at once, which you'll see later. Does not like this maple, this tape doesn't at all. Whenever I cut it from the fret, I always tear it away, so that as you go down the neck, you've got a curve on each one, protecting the sides as well. I'll just use the offcuts where I can, just to not waste them. Okay. If anyone's got any recommendations for tape that sticks to maple better than this, that isn't super expensive, let me know. Because on the one before where it was sticking to rosewood, it was a lot better. The maple's just too shiny, it doesn't want to stick at all. But we'll get there. No, that's a perfect fit there. Lovely, fits perfect. One left. If I show you. So that's all the frets masked off fine. And like I said, if you were just doing, I use these rubbers because they really are great, these fret rubbers. If you were just doing that, you wouldn't mask the whole board off. You'd just do one at a time and it would be fine. I won't need the coarse because they're just dull. They just need a good brightening up. I think what I'll do is I'll just do one to completion and I'll show you the difference between, you know, going over a guitar and just doing this. And I would definitely recommend you do this to your own guitars because it will just make you like to play them a lot more. And it's really not that much work, really. Not for the benefit. I mean, already that's much better than you'd see in, you know, a normal shop kind of thing that just hang them up. And just for that little effort, it just looks so much better. But I do like to take it just a step further and give them a little machine polish as well. And using auto salt, as long as you've protected the board, is a great way to get a final finish that lasts on frets. You just want to get, you see that little dot there? I won't even use a half of that, just on the fret. It will stick to the fret without you needing to squeeze or anything like that. So let me show you what it's like. It's a bit difficult to see, is that it? Hopefully you can see those little dots. And then all you're going to need is a little multi-tool of some kind or a polishing wheel. Plugged in the wrong thing there. Just something with a very, very soft edge. I'm going to mute the mic now because I don't want you to like get annoyed by the sound of this, but it won't take a sec. How do I do it? So now, if you look at the difference, you can see there's a tiny little bit of fret wear, but it's not really a problem. It's that small. It's just because the polish is so shiny. But, you know, if you're buying a guitar and the guitar is like that straight off the rack compared to that, that's going to make a massive difference. And that is why every single guitar I get, I go through this process on, just to make sure that, you know, you're that little bit happier with it. But I'm going to do all of them now. I might leave the mic and hang on. Find somewhere to put this again. I'll leave the mic unmuted, and if it's really annoying, you just have to tell me, and I'll keep an eye on the page. It's a rubbish place for the phone, but I haven't got anywhere else to put it. So just little dots. Oh no, I've got to do the rubbers first. I usually do all that first. I got confused. But, you know, even just doing this stage makes such a massive difference. And we already checked they were level and stuff, so I'm not worried about that. This isn't actually taking, you know, they're very, very fine. It's not going to be making the frets unlevel or anything like that. It's just taking the dull, you know, years of oxidization, I guess, off the top of the frets. So if I show you the difference again between that one we machine polished and the one we've just used the rubber. Bloody thing, come on, there we go. So you see just the rubber alone is a big, big difference. But that final stage, just using that polish, really does make it better. Oh, one's come off. Right, so I'm going to need someone to tell me if the noise of this through the mic is just really, really not good, and then I can mute the microphone on the phone. So little tiny dots, that's all you want to see on the frets, just dots, and that's more than enough. I mean, a tube this size would probably do 1,000 guitars, no joke. If you do end up getting any bigger blodges, wipe it off, because you don't want to overdo it. It's just a final polish. All right, so someone's going to have to let me know if this machine's too noisy. There is another layer under there, don't worry. You can get one of these multi-tools with all the polishing discs for like 30 quid, and it's absolutely worth it because the difference it will make to playing the guitar with that high of a polish is just, you know, night and day. It should be standard whenever you buy a guitar, but obviously it just takes that bit of time. So I'll take all this off now and then give the frets a good wipe with a blue roll, just to get rid of the excess sort of dried up bits. And this is where that thing I said earlier comes into play. See that now? That'll all come off all in one go, much easier. You can do that all the way up the neck, but these are a bit easier. This will just finally get off any dry bits. Let's see little bits of black. Just a million times better already. Then I would use some fretboard cleaner just to get rid of the little bit of gunk from the finger around the maple. Obviously you're not hydrating the maple because it's gloss finished, you know, sealed as it is. And let me show you this. So those of you that were watching earlier on, the difference now, I'm hoping the resolution on the live is good enough to pick that up. But that is just going to feel 10 times better to play. A little bit of fret wear there, but it's not too bad. The polish really highlights any fret wear. Now we've got to get onto the body, all this dirt, look, get all that off. There we go. And like I say, anyone watching that wants to know anything about all these guitars, drop a comment in and I'll pick one up. Oh, it's just come up with loads of comments. I've had my bottle of lemon oil since '94. All those comments weren't there before. I'm guessing they're all old. So I could be getting comments that I'm not seeing, so I do apologise for that. Streaming straight from the phone is a ball ache. I don't know if I've got anyone here to test that or not. Let me just see about these comments a minute. It's just making me think, like, am I not getting them or? Right, okay, I think I've just found a way to get the comments at last. 1509, when was that? Just now. How are you finding that used prices are going down while new is going up? It depends on what it is, really. I mean, anyone who watched my series of Eastman videos, one of the things I said about at the time was, you know, you might worry about the resale value of an Eastman because it would lose more than a Gibson. But over the last, well, since that video, really, the resale of Eastmans is just as strong, if not stronger, than the resale of Gibsons. So it really does depend on what the guitar is, I think. But as for new prices going up, yeah, they are, of course, isn't everything. And I tell you what, anyone who isn't sort of got behind the scenes kind of trade information, shall we say, there are some big surprises down the pipeline of how much things are actually going up soon. It's ridiculous. I mean, Ernie Ball strings, for example, they want them to retail at sort of £10 a pack. So you can imagine what the wholesale would be on those. It's crazy. Everything's going super, super expensive, but what can we do? Again, let's see these comments. I sold an Eastman T46 that had a few marks for £700. When did you do that? Because I sold a T486 about 3 weeks ago for a lot more than that. And it sold very, very quickly too. You also got to consider, like, as well, the last couple of weeks, what's been going on in the world. It's been hard to sell stuff. 3 weeks ago, as I say, I did have marks, replaced tuners, and some dings. Yeah, I mean, I am surprised at that, honestly. Are you in the UK as well, by the way? Because obviously different markets will be different. But yeah, I'm very surprised that, if that's the most you could get for it, I'm very, very surprised, because they have been going up in value in the last few months, used big time. You're in Blackpool and wasn't offering right, okay, yeah, shipping's a biggie. If you want to get the most for a guitar, you really want to be offering shipping. I mean, I wouldn't sell anything if I didn't offer shipping. I've got this new showroom now where I want as many people to come down, but obviously most of it is going to be shipped. And it's mad because, like, I'm just old-fashioned. I don't like getting anything delivered. I like to, literally anything. I like to go in and get it in person. I hate getting things delivered. Paul, how you doing? I see the comments gone. That's the annoying thing. How do I? Interesting to see how easy it is to do a fret polish. Next string change on my older guitars, I'm going to look at doing it. Mate, 100%. It will just make you want to play the guitar more. And it really will, because, the strings will feel super soft on your fingers. The guitar will look better. And, it's one of them things, you look after it and it will look after you, kind of thing. I must have missed loads of comments before, so I do apologise, folks. I just didn't know how to get the comments up. And now I still don't, apparently. If I was on a computer, this would be much easier. Raphael, what do I use to ship? I use a company called APC, and I was extremely selective on who I chose to ship guitars because, you know, I've had things delivered that are not cared for before, but APC, touch wood, have never let me down yet, and we're sort of over 100 guitars in with them now, so yeah, they've been really good. Always next day delivery, tracking, you know, everything's been spot on with them. They're not the cheapest, but it is good. There weren't many comments. I'm glad to hear that, Paul, because I wasn't sure how to display the comments. I'm a bit of a Luddite with phones. I'm more comfortable sat at a desk on a computer. But, you know, I'm not streaming this to get views. I'm working on guitars as usual anyway. So I just thought I'd pop it up in case anyone wanted to see any, you know, a bit more detail on what goes into each one or what I've got in. I'm more than happy to go and get guitars off the wall and show you what they are. So now this guitar is looking, you know, how you'd expect it to look if you just spent all that money on a guitar. Oops, I haven't switched the camera around. Come on. I'm going to string this up with the Ernie Ball 9 to 46, which is my favourite gauge on a Strat, any 9 to 46. And my favourite gauge on any Les Paul or 24 3/4 are these ones, the 9.5. 9.5 to 46, they're great. How much are you charging for that Strat? I'm currently selling one, and the only offer I've had was for $320. This MIM Strat will go out for around the 400 mark, which is about right for a, you know, a Mexican Strat in good condition. Was that just a Dremel type multi-tool? Yeah, any type multi-tool, as long as you've got the right soft polishing heads. I mean, this thing is feather soft. You know, you get the whole lot for 25-30 quid. In fact, if you're in Britain, Argos at the moment are doing these with the polishing kit for 20 quid. So, you know, you can't go wrong there, and it will last forever. As long as you don't try and use it as a drill and burn it out. But if it was to be sold for 400 on Reverb or eBay, they take... Yeah, that's right, mate. Reverb selling fees are going up all the time. Wrong gauge. And I've actually slowed down with Reverb. I've just got my own website now for that reason. Because of Reverb selling fees, they know they've got you. You know that they've got that audience, and they're really making the most out of their fees, which, you know, is a bit greedy, but that's the world, isn't it? It just means people are going to start pulling away from Reverb and using other things, you know. Always make sure it's pulled through, because how many times have you done that and then the ball goes boink and you've got loads of slack? It's absolutely happened to me, I know that. then with these last two, as I said before, I just go 2 wraps over the top instead of 1, and it'll be absolutely fine. A bit more, there we go. I think what I'll do is in a minute, once I finish this, I won't do all the intonation and stuff live on this one because I did it on the last one. But I will summarize what's coming up tomorrow. And if you want to see any of the guitars that you spot in the background in a sec, let me know and I'll show you. There we go. So there we go. I'll leave that one for now. But, you know, if you've watched from earlier on, the difference that's made, fresh strings, a nice polish. Obviously, I'll make sure the action, intonation, everything is right as well. But that's going to change that guitar and make it a lot better. So basically, hang on, what's going on here? What we got coming up tomorrow is I just did the same thing on this very cheap 50 quid Aria, just making sure it's, you know, as good as I can possibly make it. And then I'm going to compare that. Oh, hang on. My sort of dream would be to have a guitar shop with second-hand snack bar. And the comment's gone because this thing's a nightmare. I have no idea if I've got the Hard Rock Cafe. Yeah, I mean, you know, this whole thing that you see here has just been a dream of mine for a long time, and I am putting in, you know, hours and hours, night and day. Every last resource I possibly have is going into trying to make this work, you know, and I just ain't going to give up. And even if I've got 3 people watching on a live stream right now, it doesn't matter. This is what I love doing, and this is what I'm going to keep on doing. And I just hope that I can get as many people, you know, out there to come along the journey. Paul Cook, you're working weekends? Yes, mate. I've worked weekends for months on end, just to, you know, keep on top of things. Even if it's at home filming, that's not me enjoying myself playing. For me, that's still kind of working in a way. What was I going to say? Yeah, so that Aria is going to be compared to the US Strat, this one here. This one. So there's about a 18, 19 multiple of the price difference between those two guitars. And I was having a discussion with a friend yesterday, and he just doesn't get it. He thinks that it couldn't possibly be any different, you know, not a guitar player, of course. And I'm going to put that argument to bed, because we all know, you know, what it's going to be like when we compare a cheap guitar to that price guitar. Is it going to be unbelievably different? Maybe not. But there's more to it than that, you know, from a guitar player's point of view. So I'm going to hang on, just having a little chat for the next couple of minutes. I've got another one to do, and then I've got tomorrow's video to film later on. So if anyone wants to see any of these guitars, like I said, let me know and I'll pop the phone down and show you some up close. We got some more down in the rack there as well. Duosonic at the end. This one is one of my personal favourites at the moment, this Nashville Telly. Really cool guitar. I haven't got around to setting that one up yet, so it's not listed. But yeah, we'll have a couple of other ones. You got these two here. They're both I forget which way around it is now, but one's 2006, one's 2008. So they're both, both got some nice age to them, and they're both wired slightly differently as well. What else can I show you just quickly? One more thing. So this guitar here, this is the Chrissie Hynde Fender Telecaster, and the check-in on it in real life is really weird, but on a camera, I bet you can't see that at all. It just looks blue. I mean, that's nuts. Can I try and get it to show it? No. On the website, I have taken photos of it. So cool, I tell you. Yeah, it's really, really cool. Anyone who watched my video, the Jason Isbell Telecaster, which is still the best tele I've ever played, this one came out sort of alongside that one. And it just is a really, really cool guitar. I still got the Epiphone 1960. That is a sleeper guitar with the Gibson 57 pickups. Amazing guitar. This SG here is really, really cool. It's a 2017, so it's from the PCB era. When Gibson were putting PCB boards instead of normal pots. But this one has had the 50s wiring harness from Monty's put in it. And all the better for it. It just sounds absolutely, killer. And it's just nice to know you haven't got those PCB boards that no one likes in the guitar. Just put this tag back on it. So, I mean, I think that's pretty much it then. Like I said, not if anyone's got anything else, questions, any guitars. Raphael says, so cool, that telly. Funny enough, my favourite one in at the minute is probably this one, the Ventura Classic Custom. This one I did put the Monty's Relic wax on the Palfero. If I show you another Palfero board without it there. And that's with it there. So it does darken it off. I'm not a huge fan of Palfero. You do get lucky with it now and again with the colour and the texture, but it's not really, I prefer rosewood. Thanks for no questions, no problem. I'll show you two more actually before we go. These two guitars. So this is a 1997, 1954 reissue from Japan. And that's really cool. Cheers, mate. Was it still on offer at Argos? Because it is a good deal, to be fair, and it works. This one is a 1986 standard ST35V from made in Japan as well. But let me show you the natural playwear on this guitar. 32. It's a bit more. It might not have been on offer. I'm not sure. If you can see that on the camera there. Over the years, this thing's been played. I mean, that is you see that on a custom shop, but that's obviously for real. It has had a refret at some point in its life, but, I don't see that as an issue because it's a fully working guitar with all that vibe, and you're not going to have issues with the frets for a long time. So that's really cool. This one here from the video the other day, I'm a traditionalist. That's not really the sort of finish for me, but having it around, it's definitely grown on me. And as a guitar, it was fantastic, to be fair. The newer Epiphone stuff has just come along, so far kind of thing. But that's it. I'm going to get finished with this guitar, make sure it's all right and everything else, and then get home and film the Aria versus US and see how we get on with that. So that's it. Thanks for those of you that tuned in, and I will catch you either tomorrow or whenever you next catch a video. So I'm going to figure out how I end the stream. Yeah, nice one, Paul. Cheers for watching, mate. Good luck with that Dremel. It's all good. Oh, it's 2 pulls. 3 pulls including me. So I'll see you later.